Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Wish You Were Beer Show. This is a live beer review show every Thursday night here at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. You can also stream it through Facebook. Other than that, that's the show. Y'all have a good rest of your week.
All right. This was fun.
All right. No, but make sure you follow along with us throughout all the social media channels. Instagram's probably our most used. We spend most of our time through Instagram. If you're elderly like I am, I like Twitter. We do have a very limited Facebook. We've also got a website. All the information's down in the about section, so make sure you rifle through that and go check us out anywhere you can find us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's very helpful for us and helpful for you. If you're in a different time zone, you can get notifications as to when we go live or when we post new content. So make sure that you like and subscribe.
I thought you were going to say nude content.
God, that's a whole
went somewhere else.
If you subscribe and you have the little bell clicked, you will be the first to know when we post nude content.
This is true.
So
it may never happen, but you would be the first to know. Damn
we don't know.
it.
Don't miss out.
This is
Might pop up for just a few minutes and then we'll delete
the
it.
whole reason. This is the whole reason to subscribe.
And before you get too excited, it's always only going to be Phil or I.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, y'all. It's not me.
And for me, it's just straight hole shots. I hate to tell you.
Good Lord.
This is going to be a good show tonight, I got a feeling.
I'm comfortable with this, Phil.
Woo.
I'm very comfortable with this.
Okay.
Well, again, just thank you everybody for stopping by tonight and everybody who normally watches as well. Despite Phil's just rough start to this one.
We lost so many viewers.
Just tanked immediately.
We did. We literally lost viewers. So thank you, Phil.
But like I said, make sure you follow along with us. Make sure you follow us on Untapped as well. If you're unfamiliar with that, that's what we use to rate all of our beers, check in all of our beers. It's also kind of how we catalog all the beers, both individually and on the show. So you can see what beers we've had in the past, how many beers we've had individually and collectively. It's a great app if you're not on it. It's a lot of fun, and you can follow us and find out how early we drink on the weekends, which is also fun.
Or when we're on vacation.
Vacation for sure, but yeah. Good Lord.
Yeah, my battery died real fast with your notifications coming in over last week.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
By the end of the week, I was like so bloated from the beer that I was like, I don't think I can put these pants back on. Like, I just gotta live in my bathing suit now, and even that's not so attractive anymore.
Nude content.
Yeah, I didn't post any of the.
What's crazy is on last week's episode, I could totally not tell. So, you guys were great.
Well, the good news is we were just pixels last week.
It was bad. The internet was so bad last week.
We were out of town last week, so our internet connection was straight garbage. So we were basically there in spirit and pixelated form, which was nice.
We did do the episode from bed, so
that was nice.
Once again, subscribe.
You never know.
Ring that bell.
Well, that being said, in case you can't read or in case you're listening to the audio version of this, I'm Daniel.
I'm Tiffany. I was in the middle of drinking.
And I'm Phil. We've never done it that way.
I know.
Really
I just thought about the audio only version, and I was like, it doesn't make any sense if I say I'm Daniel, that's Tiffany, that's Phil.
But I was in the middle of sipping a beer, knowing that it wasn't my time to speak.
Yeah, talk to us before the show starts, Daniel.
Keep you on your toes.
Call us up.
Every week, it's a new show, Phil. It's live.
Jeez, I was so thrown off.
That being said, Phil, how are you? How you doing, buddy?
Well, now I'm all confused. I might as well go out and start over. I'm completely thrown off. You changed one thing, and now the whole show's off. So I'm
love
concerned.
that one thing changed, and everybody is just flustered and lost.
Well, that's when we film. So for those of you who've been watching our promo videos, we usually film them after our show. So we have been drinking when we film those, which makes them really fun.
It's great.
But two, we have a very set script, and every once in a while, one of us, mostly me,
I was like, don't say one of us.
We'll throw in some sort of additional content that was not prepared or
not discussed.
And it's always after a nice little pause too. So you say exactly what you're supposed to say. You wait 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden you want to say one more thing.
Tiffany can't handle the silence. Is what it is.
No, I can. It's just like, oh, I wanted to also say this. Like ADD brain kicks in for a second and is like, oh, I forgot. So yeah, it throws Phil off. So we usually have a few rounds of attempts.
Yeah, in case you haven't been through our video catalog, there is a really great blooper reel of us trying to do promos.
Yes.
That is just painfully funny.
I was crying from laughing.
Oh, from me, yeah.
From laughing.
Make sure you specify that. Don't worry about
crying because you were being.
I was just crying. It was a Thursday.
Daniel, you were just yelling at her because she kept messing up, and you were just kept berating her.
God. Oh, Lord.
But yeah. Well.
Anyway,
how are you doing?
We got another show. Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm not really concerned about how everybody's doing. I assume you're well. You're here, so great.
Oh, thanks.
Hooray!
Thanks.
Another successful week of life. I actually want to get into this show because I'm excited about tonight's show.
Well, I'm great. Thanks for asking.
I know you're great. I live with you. Tiffany's great, everyone. She lives with me.
Yeah.
How could you not be great?
I don't know how many episodes with Tiffany we have left.
Very true. All of a sudden, next week I'll have a different background. It'll just be like a Motel 6, like headboard.
Just a neon light coming through, flashing. Daniel, you're like, I'm fine. I'm totally fine.
Fine. Everybody's fine. She's gonna come around.
I lost my parents, but I'm fine.
It'll be just another version of a murder room.
True story.
We don't need any more of those. I've got the only one. We don't need more.
So that being said, let's talk about what we're doing tonight. Phil.
Oh, I'm supposed to talk about it? All right. Jeez, things keep changing.
I feel like we've never done this show before all of a
sudden. Tonight we have a very exciting show. We have 2 guests on the show tonight, which is awesome. We're also doing a first time for us. It's going to be a gluten-free beer. We've never done a gluten-free beer on the show, so we're going to get into that as well. And this show is also a show for a cause, which is even more exciting. So all in all, we're doing Curtain Up gluten-free from Departed Souls Brewing Company. And this is in collaboration with the Happy Hour guys. And so we've got a guest from the Happy Hour guys. We've got a guest from Departed Souls. It's going to be a good show.
This is busy and complicated. I don't know how it's going to work.
We had to talk about how we were going to change things up and who was going to come in when. Usually it's just we bring them in and then we talk and then we kick them out.
This is going to be a shit show.
Good luck out there.
It's a good thing we're doing really well so far. Can you imagine?
We started so strong. It's really hard now. God.
Well, let's get it started then.
Let's do it.
Guys, should we just bring in our first guest and just get the show going?
Yes.
I love it.
All right. So our first guest tonight is Mark. He is from the Happy Hour guys. And you're also seeing Mark on a few TV shows and movies. So we'll have to also ask him about that because, we can't just talk about beer the whole time. I mean, I guess we can, but
now I'm going to start with that question.
70 episodes in and we've pretty much just talked about beer, but you're right. We couldn't.
We should probably change it up now at this point and ask Mark all about his acting career. Let's bring in Mark from the Happy Hour guys. Mark, welcome.
Mark, how are you, bud?
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I could have watched that intro for another 20 minutes. It was hilarious.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Well, there's 69 other episodes of the show, so.
So good luck out there. Yeah.
So you kicked it off. Obviously, you know that my partner in the Happy Hour guys, Jimmy Ludwig, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, and I are professional actors. We met doing a regional show in Washington, D.C., which is how we sort of figured out that we had some things in common, specifically our love of interesting bars and craft beer. And for a long time, our acting careers sort of subsidized our web series, which is kind of backwards. Usually you find some other way to subsidize your life if you're an actor. But we get to travel a lot. So when we're traveling around the country, one of the things we always do is find sort of the most interesting bars locally. And then we also make a point of going to as many of the local breweries as we can. And one thing led to another, love of the Travel Channel and Anthony Bourdain and history and craft beer. And next thing you know, we've got over 400 episodes online. We've been doing it for a long time. And so that's sort of how the Happy Hour guys came to be.
That's very cool. And now where do people find all your actual episodes, like your catalog of episodes, where they find your new episodes?
happyhourguys.com. We're there. We're also on YouTube. We're on Vimeo. We're sort of on all the platforms. But the sort of most direct way is just go to our website and everything is there, and it's in formats.
Hold on, it's this way.
Yep, there you go. Good job, Tiffany. Tiffany weathermanned it. Did you see her? She's like, hold on.
No, I was like, wait, I didn't even. Yeah.
Weather person.
You're right. I apologize. Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, so that's the best way is to just check out our website, and everything's cataloged there in various ways. But yeah, we sort of got into it just when craft beer was becoming craft beer, and we grew up with it. At least we're based out of New York City, so we sort of grew up with the movement there. There wasn't a lot there when we started, and now it's insane, as you know well.
Oh yeah.
And we've just been at it ever since. Originally, we thought, oh, we're definitely going to be on the Travel Channel. We're going to be on Discovery. We're going to be on, and then we actually talked to a bunch of those people, and we're like, actually, we're fine online. We're good where we are.
So, what was your first craft beer?
My first craft beer was actually, it was actually Harpoon Winter Warmer.
Okay,
ooh, that's a good one.
And it sort of blew my mind. I was like, wait, you can do that with beer? Like this has so many other different flavors in it. It's not what everyone always told me beer was supposed to be. I'm confused, but happy. And it sort of went from there. Yeah. So I'll always remember it was Harpoon Winter Warmer.
Interesting. And Gabriel agrees. Oh, not a bad beer. Says Gabriel.
Here.
It's not a bad beer.
He's saying it's not bad here. He's
yeah.
enjoying himself.
Boy, great. Yeah, Gabriel. Jesus, get it together.
Gotta check at it for your post.
No doubt. Well,
now, Mark, before we get into the curtain up beer, I do want to talk about your other 4 that you've done. And actually, I do have your website here, so we can go through, because I'm interested to know a little bit more about these. I mean, of course, number 1 is Hamilton. I mean, how does that come around?
Well, it was for many years, our acting careers and our craft beer lives were separate. And we were always trying to figure out a way to bring the two together, because they were both such big parts of our lives. We were like, we need to connect them somehow. And in 2016, we came up with the idea to take a Broadway cast, the show of a cast of a Broadway show. I speak English.
That was great. I understood every word of it. I was like, correct?
They just didn't make sense together in the order. So we would take the cast of a Broadway show and pair them up with a local craft brewery, and we'd bring the actors to the brewery. Before that, we'd get together and sort of brainstorm about a beer they would like to make, what they would like to call it, what the style would be, and what charity they would most like to benefit from that beer. So then we'd bring the actors to the brewery, and they'd spend a day brewing beer, which actually usually was a photo op for the actors and sitting around drinking a lot, and the brewers doing all the work. And then a few weeks later, or however long it was needed, the beer would be released, and we'd have a big party, and the cast would come, and the brewers would come, and we'd announce who the charity was, and we'd sell. Everyone was a little bit different. Some breweries did more than one run. Some breweries only did one run of the beer, and they sold it as long as it was available. And Hamilton, we got a lot of confused looks at first when we went to shows and breweries. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, it's 2016, so it's long before there were that many charity beers out there. I know there are a lot now. Yeah. So we got a lot of, I don't understand, or no. And then Hamilton hadn't opened yet, so it hadn't become what Hamilton is now. And they said yes.
God, that's a great gamble you got.
We were like, wait, did you say yes? You said what? And then it went crazy, because then Hamilton became Hamilton. And that beer was a rye saison from Gun Hill Brewing in the Bronx, who I have to give a shout out to, because they've been amazing. You'll hear more about them as we go on, because they had a lot to do with Curtain Up as well. And that beer is still in production, and won a medal at the GABF, and at one point was being sold at Citi Field and at Madison Square Garden. Like, that beer did very well, and we were featured in national publications and obviously a lot around the New York area. So that raised the profile of the project. And we always wanted to do a Broadway 6-pack. So from Hamilton, then we moved on to other shows, and all of them were very different beers. There you go. Yeah. So we went to School of Rock next, which was Carton Brewing over in New Jersey. Waitress, which was 6 Point in Brooklyn. And then we did Phantom of the Opera. That one was a little different. We actually went with Hardywood Brewing out of Richmond, Virginia. And it was fun. We took 3 of the actors from the show and we traveled them to Richmond, Virginia on their day off. And we had a blast. We spent the whole day at the brewery and made a beer, and then had a huge party back in New York. And that one was challenging because it wasn't as easy as saying, we'll pay for your cab if you take a cab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it worked out well. And then Come From Away, which we loved. We did that with 5 boroughs in the city, and that one was so much fun. So many of their cast showed up, and they have people on stage who are also musicians, and we ended up having like an impromptu music jam session in the tap room after we finished making the beer, and it was just a blast. So every one of them has been really, really different. They've all been for very worthwhile causes. In the interest of brevity, which is already probably out the window, right. I would say go to our website and learn more about what the charities involved were, what the beers were. But all of them were really exciting. All of them were very, very different.
So, question from the audience: who was the toughest cast to work with? And then there's a follow-up of, or which one was the most fun?
Oh, wow.
So,
Lisa gave you 2 options.
I'm sure that they're all watching.
And we know Hamilton is Hamilton now, so if you say they were the toughest, it's okay. They're Hamilton.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, because Jimmy and I are also professional actors, and we're both Broadway actors. We have friends in all of those casts.
So they were all the most difficult.
We were all and they were all the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they really were all different, but every single experience was unique but great. I'd say the most challenging, which didn't have anything to do with the actors, was Hardywood, just because it involved, actors get 1 day off a week, and we were traveling them all the way down to Richmond, Virginia. So that one was probably the most complicated process, but again, it wasn't about the actors. But what was really fun was a lot of the actors don't really know a lot about craft beer, or didn't coming in, and they were surprised to find out that they could sit down with the brewers and be like, well, we kind of want it to taste like this or remind us of this. And they were like, wait, I didn't know you could do that with beer. And so it was a real discovery for all of them to be in the brewery and see how. We always said that acting is a craft, theater is a craft, and so is making beer. So we figured they would all have a lot in common when they got in the same room, and they did. It was really exciting to watch them both sort of discover each other and play off of all the ideas that they had. So,
that is fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was a cop-out, but actually nobody was difficult. I mean, if they volunteered, and it was all volunteers from the actors. So if they volunteered to do it, they were excited to be there, and they made it fun. They made their day off. It wasn't about having to fulfill a requirement and do a charity work.
It wasn't like a PR round for them. It was just something they actually wanted to be involved in.
Exactly. Yeah. So everyone was just there to have fun, and we did.
That's great. And I'm glad to see it, because I know when I go to Broadway shows, there's always beer on tap, and it was always cool to see like your Hamilton beer at Hamilton, those beers at the shows. It was like, I can get a really good beer finally while watching the show.
And that was not easy to pull off, and not all the beers were able to do it, because the refreshments at Broadway theaters it's very baked in. Like, the same people have been doing it for a really long time. So to convince them to shift from their model is not easy. Yeah. But it helps that Hamilton did it. And then it became a collector's item. Like, people would ask to go back at the end of the show and ask, Dave Lopez.
We did have him on the show. We did talk about this, actually.
Dave is awesome. Yeah. But people would, ask for the can at the end of the show to take it home as a Hamilton souvenir, which
nice.
Not something we would have imagined. But it's great that's how it ended up.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Somebody saw me in one of my shows. Hi.
Yeah. We actually never talked about which TV shows and everything that you've been in.
Which I think we were avoiding.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we avoiding? Just kidding.
We don't want to get into Miss Maisel and Gotham or anything like that.
Gotham, I loved them all. Maisel was really cool. Gotham, I was so disappointed, and it is no one's fault. I was supposed to be decapitated. And I was so excited to see what was going to happen.
Right.
I got there, and the director was like, "Yeah, we don't really have that set here today, and there have been some changes to the script. So
can you just have a heart attack?" Oh no!
I got sprayed by like fear stuff by Scarecrow, and then my partner got killed. I didn't even get killed. I just chickened out and opened the door and let all the bad guys in. I was like, I wanted to be decapitated so bad.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And on Maisel, you shot at McSorleys, didn't you?
We did, which was a really fun coincidence because our pilot episode, when we thought we were going to be on television, we shot it at McSorleys. So that was years and years ago. And then,
for those who don't know, that's the oldest pub in New York. It only serves dark and light beer. That's it.
Yep.
And it's fantastic.
2 at a time. And you get those saltines and the onions and the cheese. So it was really fun. So I spent, a fair amount of time behind the bar pretending to work after I had been there to interview the people who actually had to work there.
Oh, nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a really fun full circle moment.
And their dark and light beer is good. It's fun. You get 2 mugs every time you order. You just get like 2 little tiny things. It's fun.
One of my favorite places to go. There's so much history in that room that people don't know about. Like Houdini's, there is a set of handcuffs on the foot rail, the brass foot rail, that Houdini was in one night, and there was a policeman there who didn't think he could really do all the things he was doing. So he challenged him to get out of his handcuffs. And Houdini did it in like no time at all. So the owner at the time took them and put them on the foot rail and said they're going to stay there forever as a testament to the fact that Houdini's the real deal. And they're still there. If you go down and look down, most people don't ever know they're there. They're still on the foot rail.
Very cool. Wow.
Useless trivia.
I love it. Jeopardy information, which is some of our favorites.
Yes, I do love Jeopardy.
Well, Mark, let's quickly talk about the final topic, which is Curtain Up, which was created, we know, from Dave Lopez out of Gun Hill Brewery because we had him on the show and we talked about it a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I know the reason that Curtain Up was created and what it meant is not the most fun thing, but at the same time, it really pulled your 6-pack together nicely.
It did. I mean, if we could change it, we would change it. But that's where life was at the time.
So just tell us about Curtain Up. What does it do? What's the benefit? Tell us a little bit about Curtain Up.
It was early in the pandemic, and we had seen the success of All Together and Black is Beautiful. So some of the other open source cause beers. And we were up to the 6th beer in our 6-pack, and we had always thought we wanted to do something bigger with that, but we never had any idea that there would be a pandemic and our entire industry would shut down. So a few months into it, we were actually shooting an episode at Sloop Brewing, our first episode during the pandemic, and we're tossing some ideas around and said, well, this one, I mean, I think we have to do an open source beer, and it has to benefit our colleagues, our community, which at the time was completely shut. There was nothing happening, which means people were losing their health insurance. They were on unemployment, but that was running out, and there were literally no job opportunities. So people were scared, terrified. So we thought, we know the craft beer community is an amazing group of people that always are giving back to the people, to their communities, and doing things that a lot of people don't even know are adding so much to their towns and their cities. And we had been in the industry for a while, so we started to reach out. And Dave Lopez, as was mentioned, is such a great guy. We actually just called him to ask for advice because he had done a Black is Beautiful beer, and we wanted to find out what works, what doesn't, what makes it easier for the breweries, what makes things work. And he actually said, I'd love to give you advice, but even more, we want to do this. Because he's a native New Yorker, and he really believes in the arts and what they mean to New York City and to communities around the country. And so he stepped in, and we were incredibly grateful. And he was probably the most responsive partner we could have ever asked for. He was there constantly. He answered phone calls. He answered emails. We've become really, really good friends as a result. And they donated a really, really solid, beyond solid, a really excellent IPA recipe, which you can still find on the website now. It's there for anybody that wants to use it. And we actually felt guilty. It was so good. We were like, oh, you should have man. Thank you. And so we decided that the money should go to the Actors Fund, which is now the Entertainment Workers Fund, because it actually benefits everybody in live entertainment, not just actors. So they changed their name recently, which is crazy because they've been the Actors Fund for decades.
Yeah.
And they literally respond to anyone in the industry who needs help. If you fall behind in your rent, if you have a medical payment, if you can't pay certain bills or your electricity bill is due, and you call them and talk to them, they will send you money. Very few questions asked, just within days. And they've been helping people, all around the country for decades and decades. So they seemed like a no-brainer for us to be the place where the money would go, and it's worked out really well. We've got about 80 breweries around the country. We're always looking for more. So if anybody's listening, go to curtainupbeer.com. A lot of people think everything's back to normal and it's cool, and things aren't really back to normal. I did my first show since the pandemic last month, and we closed for 3 days because people tested positive, and then we had understudies and emergency replacements on for the entire run, and it was insane. It was like a circus on fire the whole time. It's like we're rehearsing who's in the show tonight, who tested positive this morning, what are we going to do? Oh my god! And it's like that everywhere still. And people have sort of charity fatigue at this point, which I totally get, and have had for a while. Because let's face it, we're all tired of dealing with this. But
yeah,
but it's still there. So if anybody knows a brewery or is a brewery, a person could be a brewery. Reach out to us or just go to the website. Everything they need is on the website. The recipe, support materials for them, social media guides, all sorts of things. If you just want to support the idea and you're not a brewery, we have we have a full line of things available at curtainupbeer.com. This one's actually really cool and one of my favorites because it's I'm doing the weatherman thing. The doodle, the illustration is from a really good friend of ours, Squigs Robertson, who is probably the preeminent artist for Broadway shows right now. A lot of the artwork that you see in posters and on websites is by him, and he's a friend of ours, so he wanted to get involved, and he did this for us.
Nice.
I almost bought that shirt earlier today, and then I got busy with work.
There's still time.
And also the baseball shirt is really cool.
I saw a baseball one, but I'm like, man, which one? I like the little smiley and frowny beer cup.
The comedy and tragedy masks inside. Yeah.
I couldn't remember what they were called, but thank you. Yeah, I was the smiley and frowning ones.
Smiley and frowning.
The ribbons.
Both deliver the needed information.
Correct. They're both descriptors. Yes.
I've had a full beer now, so good luck out there.
All right, Mark, we really appreciate you coming on, and we do have to let you go. We got another person that we got to bring on.
Yeah, but, it's awesome. So, I'm going to hang out and watch and see what he has to say.
Well, be careful, because if you're hanging out down there, you might randomly get brought back in. So just know that.
Yeah, so keep your shirt on. I got a hand down there.
Forewarned, I might need a second beer if I get pulled back in.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on. Go check out happyhourguys.com for all their information. And just a great beer for great causes that I know are near and dear to all of our hearts as well. So thanks you, Mark, for coming on.
Really appreciate everything you guys do. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Cheers, man.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Awesome.
All right.
We got to keep moving. Down. Man, this show is intense.
I'm exhausted.
We skipped the first two trivia questions because we just asked him the questions.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
In theory, we're okay. We only have 3.
I love that we're tired from having to not talk for the show, which we normally do.
I think This is so true, though, right? It's like driving all day. It's like, well, I didn't really do anything. Why am I so exhausted?
I feel like that's me at work. I'm like, I didn't do anything, but like my brain is done.
Well, our next guest, we're gonna bring in right away. It's a guest from Departed Souls.
Don't you have a promo of Departed Souls?
Right. It's like we've never done the show again.
Love it.
We're working.
All right. We're gonna watch a quick promo to see what Departed Souls kind of looks like, get their vibe, and when we get back, Brant from Departed Souls will be on with us.
Brant, how you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. How are you all?
Hey, doing well, man. Thank you for coming by. So
could be happy to be here.
What do you do at Departed Souls? What is your actual job description?
So currently I'm the tasting room manager, which has been super fun for the past several years of the pandemic at this point. But originally I was more on the production side. I helped Brian, the owner, sort of get the place opened. I helped him brew the first batch of all grain beer that was brewed here. Now I spend my time interacting with people and making sure that this room works, which is a lot of fun.
Very cool. But you come from, like, you've got a little bit of a brewer background, at least, to some degree?
I do.
Yeah?
Yep. I homebrewed for a number of years. I essentially did an apprenticeship at New Jersey Beer Company, which is right up the road in North Bergen. When Brian was opening up Departed Souls, I decided to come along for the ride.
Awesome.
Probably regretting that decision at this point.
Well, nah, not a chance.
Well, so you mentioned they might be regretting it soon. In the news recently, we've been seeing that New Jersey is changing a lot of their laws when it comes to brewing beer. So I'm sure that's where your headaches are stemming from.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it isn't so much that laws are changing, it's more regulations or restrictions put on us to, I guess, help protect the value of liquor licenses in the state, which are archaic. They haven't been updated in a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's like, while we fully understand where certain bar and restaurant owners are coming from, it really hampers the way that we do business and what we can do for our communities.
For sure. So are they starting to cater, or are the newer restrictions catering more towards the archaic end to help bars and restaurants versus like a brewery with a food truck, so to speak?
Well, it just stems from these special rulings in 2018 and 2019, which were put on hold because of public outcry and then obviously because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And the actual verbiage is to, in the interest of fairness for people who purchase liquor licenses, which are outrageously expensive in the state of New Jersey,
Gotcha.
To sort of level the playing field. So it's things like they're limiting the number of special events that we can do in the brewery throughout the year to 24, 25, I believe. Private events are capped at 52. Off-premise events are capped at 12. We're being told that we can't discount our beer, which is fine. I don't mind not discounting our beer.
That's the most favorable one.
But actually, sort of makes my job better because it makes the room more profitable.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it instantly eliminated things like our teacher appreciation night and our first responder night and our military discount. And it's that's gone. And these are never nights that were amazingly profitable or particularly busy for us.
Sure.
But it was nice to give back to those in the community that give back to us.
Yeah.
So one of the things that a brewery near us does is they've got like a chalkboard of like you buy a beer for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Here I am working in my after
Would
hours.
you stop spitballing ideas?
That's actually a terrific idea, because in that world, it's like the beer is paid for. It's not a discounted beer in any way, shape.
Exactly.
But then you can
She's
still,
gonna send you a bill for that one, by the way.
Yeah,
So,
we'll,
it's very expensive hourly rate.
yeah.
We'll send you a picture of it.
Got a
We'll,
great bar right up the road from us that does the exact same thing. So I'll just say we got it from there.
nice.
There you go. There you go.
Now that was free then.
Dang. I mean, technically, this was also free. I apologize. I give advice for a living. But go ahead, Phil.
Oh, Brent, I thought I read somewhere in the law about having to provide tours before you serve someone. What is that one all about?
Again, it's really just a way to. I mean, it's important that breweries operate an educational component, without a doubt, and everybody should have the option to go on a tour. But I don't think it should be mandatory. And it's like when we are particularly busy on a Saturday, it really affects the way that we staff the brewery, because now we need a person to talk to individuals about tours, which is perfectly fine. But like craft beer, at least is borderline ubiquitous at this point. It is everywhere. You go to a ball game, it's there. Most people have been to a brewery, and aside from little tweaks here and slightly more specialized equipment, what we do is pretty much the same across the industry. It's like we combine grains and water, we collect the runnings from that, we boil it, we cool it, we transfer it to a fermenter, we add yeast, and then yeast takes over and does the rest for us. Not everybody needs to come
There's
in
the
here.
whole brewing process. You just saved everyone a tour of every brewery.
Spoiler alert.
In a super simplistic nutshell, yes, but that is the brewing process. And whether you're doing it home or whether you are Budweiser, it's about the same in reality.
Sure.
And I love the opportunity to talk to customers. That's why we're here. It really is what separates us and the experience from going to a bar or a restaurant, the interaction you get with our staff. But it's not necessary. And trying to maintain a database of our regulars that have been on a tour within a calendar year is just cumbersome and unnecessary.
It's gonna start having a tattoo artist on standby for like hash marks on the arm.
Right, here's your button. I came to this brewery, and all I got was a shitty button.
Right.
That's not a good idea. Don't use that one.
Yeah. Again, just spitball in here. Jesus.
No, Brett, we learned about Curtain Up, so I want to ask more questions to you about the gluten-free process of it, because I know you're the only Curtain Up that's gluten-free. So you guys are heavily gluten-free at your brewery, right?
I wouldn't say heavily. We always try to have...
Compared to most.
Well, yes, compared to most. We always try to have 3 to 4 gluten-free beers on tap. And all of our beers are made with 100% gluten-free ingredients. All of our gluten-free beers are made with 100% gluten-free ingredients.
Which is definitely not the normalcy in almost every brewery I've been to.
Yeah.
To have that many of them on tap specifically is...
Or to have one at all.
or to have one at all, actually.
No, it takes a lot more work to sort of put out a gluten-free beer. The grains are significantly more expensive.
Yeah.
So a lot of breweries don't necessarily want to do that. And it is a niche market. And to devote the time that we have to that, it isn't in most people's business models. So
now, do you have to keep, like I think about like wild ales or any of like the Brett or saisons, when to be 100% gluten free on that beer, even though you're regularly cleaning like your bright tanks and your fermenters and all that stuff, do you still have to keep separate equipment just for the gluten free stuff, or does that get washed out in the process of like your caustic acids and stuff?
We do have 2 dedicated fermenters for gluten-free. We have dedicated hoses that run to our canning lines that are gluten-free as well. Other than that, we have some proprietary cleaning processes that we go through, with all of our equipment. And we take it as far as down to the buckets of sanitizer that we keep behind the bar, that we keep growler fill hose and faucet plugs in. The taps that are gluten-free have their own, gluten-free sanitizer.
Yep. That's crazy. That's cool though. Yeah.
We take it super seriously. And when you have people that could come in and potentially get sick off of cross-contamination, it has to be handled really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to imagine you have a few people that come in that are just so grateful that they have 3 different beers to choose from. I mean, that's got to be wild for some people.
We had that tonight, in fact, about an hour before the show started. We had a couple in, and the female, the woman in the couple, loves going to breweries. Her boyfriend has celiacs, so they can't until they discovered this place. And they drove out here from Denville, which is about a half an hour ride, specifically so they could go to a brewery together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, I think
we hear great stories all the time where people come in and say, I haven't had a beer in 10 years. I haven't had a beer in 15 years because of celiacs, and it's now they can. It's really great to be able to provide that.
100%.
I've got a friend recently that I started going to a brewery with, and she's that exact story where she says, I haven't had a beer in 10 years. And she's not celiac, but she's gluten intolerant. So we discovered by talking to the brewer there that they use Brewers Cleats. Is this a product that you're aware of? That kind of reduces gluten out of beer? Is what I've
definitely heard of that. And that's good for a lot of people, but the majority of the people with celiacs tend to stay away from gluten-reduced beers.
Right.
Yeah. She definitely, the brewer was definitely like, if you're celiac, do not have it. But if you're like gluten intolerant, like this might work for you.
Right.
And she sat down, had 2 beers, and then the next day was like, I was fine. And it like changed her whole life. So I know how important that can be to people.
Just let her know, though, if she has 6 beers, it's going to be the same end result, though. So don't intermingle what you're feeling the next day with what.
Right. The dehydration and the headache, I don't know if you can necessarily blame that on the gluten.
Well, listen, we're about 3/4 into the way to the show. Can we do one history and facts, one trivia question, just so we can roll the? I just want to roll the footage.
The button I wasn't ready for? Yeah.
All right, so we had 2 guests on the show tonight, so we're gonna do like maybe 1-2 trivia questions and just get through them real quick because I feel like we've already covered a lot of great information.
Let's get this beer open.
Yeah, we're gonna open this beer first.
Oh, yeah. Let's open this beer.
Yeah. So again, wrong beer, Phil. Again, tonight we are drinking Curtain Up. It's from Departed Souls.
It's our first gluten-free beer.
Correct.
All right, should we roll that first question?
I dare you.
There we go. I don't know what it is, though.
The founder of Departed Souls Brewing, Brian, held which of these jobs prior to opening the brewery? A, funeral home manager. B, teacher. C, chef.
I want this to be funeral home manager so bad.
Only makes sense.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the same processes involved in brewing as there is in embalming, from what I've seen.
It's hard to make gluten-free embalming, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's different. I want it to be funeral home manager. I'm pretty sure it's not, but I'm still going to say A, just in the off chance that I'm right. And I love that Gabriel is in the same. It's A, I hope. God, I love it.
I'm going to go with B on this. I think we've always found that the brewers, we always kind of see them in that like science-y teacher realm. So I'm going to stick with B on this one.
Oh, thank God. Vero says A. I can't believe it's A.
It is. He did, in fact, work for a funeral.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was his family.
And if you've ever had his cooking, you know he's no chef.
I was going to say, I saw that it was his family business, and he ended up leaving that to open the brewery. So very, very exciting. That you got one right. Really.
Gabriel, this is a great response as well. Pumping people full of chemicals that make them look good. Same thing. Funeral manager, brewery, it's all the same.
I mean, after you have more beers, everyone else looks good. But if I have too many beers, then I do not.
Little kids.
Gabriel's on fire tonight.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Vero says that, damn, this beer is good, and I agree.
But whoa, hold on.
Sorry. I know. I just wanted to let you know. Sorry, Brant. I'm just trying to be complimentary, and apparently I'm not complimentary.
I don't think that's how you say it.
It's fine.
This one we already know. We'll skip it. We know this one.
Okay, sorry, but we don't know what the percentage was.
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay. True or false? Gluten-free beer is made with gluten-free grains like barley instead of wheat or rice.
I can't verify just off the top of my head that barley is gluten-free by nature because I'm not intelligent enough to know that. So I'm gonna say true just because I know it needs to be gluten-free, and I don't know why you try to fool me in this situation.
Why would I not try to fool you? That's my MO.
Yeah, in life,
we've been
but
together
not on this show.
5 years of me just trying to fool you.
I'm gonna say true.
I'm gonna go with you on that one too. I'm gonna say true. Brant, what is it?
It is false. Barley does contain gluten. It contains less gluten than wheat, which is why wheat is primarily used to make bread.
Okay.
But no, we use it. I guess when we got started, we used sorghum malt extracts for our beers. They're the base for Goodbye PA and Dark Nights. Since then, we found a great maltster out of Canada, Grouse, who specializes in making 100% gluten-free malted grains such as millet, quinoa, buckwheat.
Yeah. It's just crazy, like, to think of, like, oh yeah, we're gonna keep making beer the same way everybody's made beer, but let's just find some new ingredients for it and still get the same end product somehow, which is just crazy to me from a thought process.
But yeah, so that was the end of our trivia, which is the shortest trivia we've ever done. But while brewing this beer, I was reading a lot about how, so it's supposed to be a hazy IPA, and so a lot of the things that you guys had to all add to this to make it hazy were it was like a weird science project to try and figure this out, right?
With the gluten-free beer, it always sort of ends up being a mad science project because there just isn't the data that exists on everything and on those grains. But yeah, it was super cool. We've got some experimental hops from Hopsteiner in here. Let's see, I have some notes. Bear with me for 1 minute.
Sorry, I did not prep you on this question. Usually I'm very good about sending information to people, and I did not this week. I really let you down, Brant, and
No, it's okay. It was a trial yeast that came from Lallemand. So yeah, it was a mad science project. But we're really happy with the way it turned out. I think it's got a great sort of citrus quality up front, finishes with a nice piney bitterness to it. Kind of tastes like what an IPA is supposed to taste like.
Yeah, which
for those traditionalists.
As a person that really enjoys her gluten, I wasn't sure what I was going to think about this beer because I think I've had 1 or 2 other gluten-free beers ever, and they were really watery and just kind of weird. Yeah. And I haven't tried them in probably a couple of years at least. And I am so pleasantly surprised by this. So, good job.
And as a person who enjoys her glutes, I also am pleasantly surprised by this. Nobody on that one?
There.
All right, thank you.
We got you.
Well done.
Thank you. I'll be retiring from the show. This will be my last episode.
Sorry, I'm going to start. I need to renegotiate my contract for season 3 now.
You can find them at the Comedy Cellar on
Wednesday nights. I think it's actually just the cellar.
There's no comedy involved.
I think Megan Trainor sung about them.
Well, Brent, we know you've got to close up shop there, don't you? So we don't want to keep you too much longer. But what's going on? What's going on besides all this craziness that's happening? What's an exciting thing happening in the next few weeks over at Departed Souls?
Well, I mean, we're pushing through with our events as much as possible. We've registered our trivia dates with the state, so that's going to be going on. Other than that, we have a few new beers coming out. So if you're in the area, swing by, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media things. And that's us. That's what we're doing. We're just going to try to keep pumping out good beer and doing what we do. Try to support local artists as much as possible, and give back to the community whenever we can.
Yeah, I love it. Even when the city's trying to make it hard for you, I'm glad you guys are continuing to do that. I know.
No, not the city. The city has been pretty good. In fact, there's going to be a press conference with our other brewery neighbors here in Jersey City, 902, tomorrow at noon. Not exactly sure if that's a public event or not, but sure. I know there's going to be some representatives from the city. I believe our mayor has come out and backed the breweries in New Jersey as well. So it's not a city issue, very much a state issue.
Gotcha. Well, honestly, I hope you guys continue to push through it and get it figured out in the most beneficial way for the breweries, because obviously we're pro brewery, and I think the breweries in our area as well do a ton for the community to give back, and it'd be a terrible thing to make that more difficult for them. So good luck out there, man. I hope it continues to work in your favor.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it a lot.
Yeah. And other than that, this is a killer beer. We're going to review it now, but we're going to cut you loose, Brant. Good luck closing up tonight, and really appreciate you stopping by, man. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yep.
Excellent. Thanks for having us.
All right.
And I hope you all really enjoy the beer.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cheers, bye.
Nice. Have a great night.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
You too.
All right.
2 guests down.
Review time.
Right in it.
Roll that tape.
Roll that footage.
Jeez, you're moving faster than I'm ready for.
All right. So this is the portion of the show where we're actually going to review the beer. So tonight we are reviewing Curtain Up from Departed Souls out of Jersey City, New Jersey. This is a collaboration beer that was done in part with the Happy Hour guys, and also technically Gun Hill. They're on the can.
That's all. That's it. That's
No. I was just thinking, because I was just going to jump right into my review of it. If that's okay.
All right.
You just paused like me, and I immediately was like, well, everyone else cuts me off when I'm thinking.
All right, I'm going to review this beer. I don't know what's happening anymore. No. So, yeah, I kind of like what Tiffany said earlier, too, just in the process of talking with Brant. I'm surprised by the beer, which is a good thing. I've had several gluten-free beers that I wasn't impressed with for one reason or another, whether they were too watery, they lacked some of the key notes of whatever beer they were. So I've had some regular gluten-free lagers. I've had some gluten-free IPAs as well. And none of them were phenomenal. This one does taste like this one tastes like an IPA.
Yeah.
It tastes like a hazy. It looks like a hazy. It smells like a hazy. Like it has all of those notes. I definitely get a lot of citrus out of it, especially on the front. I don't get a whole lot of like West Coast like bitterness, like true IPA bitterness on the back end, but I also have a shitty palate. So take that for what it's worth. But that being said, as everybody knows, if you watch the show or past episodes, I'm gonna rate beers based off of their style. So if I'm having a hazy, I'm gonna rate it against a hazy. And if I'm having a stout, I'm gonna rate it against a stout. I'm not a stout person, so I give it a 1. That's not how it should work. Untapped, pay attention.
It's not Untapped.
No.
Untapped knows.
No, I meant Untapped, like the constituency, like everyone on Untapped. Listen,
community of Untapped.
Correct, the community of Untapped. So from a gluten-free standpoint, really, in all honesty, I wouldn't, if you hadn't have told me where this beer came from or that it was gluten-free, I wouldn't even have noticed it, and I just would have thought it was a really good hazy. So this is a 4.5 for me. I mean, it's killer.
Yeah.
And it's out of 5 bottle caps.
That may be Daniel's highest score ever.
No. I just checked in a Bud Select 55 a couple days ago. I got 5 stars.
I meant on the show.
Oh, on the show, yeah.
The Bud Select 55 was a joke because we were both like, "This is literally terrible." Like I'd rather just save the 55 calories.
I love that it's a joke, but I feel like Daniel is still gonna this is terrible.
There's 36 more of them in the fridge, and they're going down this week.
There's so many.
I gotta cut grass every now and again.
Why do you have so many of them?
My brother bought them at the beach. He brought that and Yingling Light.
Oh, they are terrible.
Oh, God. So we had like 36 of both of them left at the end of the week. He's like, never mind. I just smoked pot instead. And I was like, probably a smart choice, actually.
So we now have a lot of beer that it needs to be drank.
Sort of going to be drank. We'll see. All right.
Okay. Okay. So what am I doing? Rating. Okay. With the same concept of Daniel of rating against its own kind of beer, this being gluten-free, I would have had no clue. I do get the bitterness on the back.
That's because you're bitter.
It is, I'm bitter. But
game recognizes game.
It does. But it truly is like a really well done hazy, and like a traditional hazy versus some of the like really fruited hazies. So with that being said, I'm going to do the same, 4.5. I'm so impressed by this beer. I literally came in here going, this might be the first beer that I rate really low.
Yeah.
Because I like bread. If you give me bread, bread and cheese, I will survive for days.
We watched Goodfellas last night, so Timmy's been talking that way all day. I like bread. So what?
You think I'm funny? No. So, what kind of funny?
That's it. Just like no more Goodfellas. We can't Goodfellas.
4.5. I'm done.
All right. So I think you're both completely accurate. I'm actually going to pop that score up just because I'm in the exact same position for this. I actually went into this with super high hopes. I had a feeling this was actually going to be very good. And part of the reason for that, I think, is that I think we're in a point now where I think the gluten-free beers that we've had in the past were when like gluten-free stuff was like really starting to appear a lot more. And so people just kind of started tossing it out because they were like, it'll sell because people are gluten-free right now.
Right. And
it wasn't very good. Whereas this brewery, I feel like because it's their like kind of their focus, it's their pull. Like they want people to have a place to go who are celiac and can have a beer for the first time in 10 years. If you're going to go that heavy, you got to make it good. So I knew that this beer was at least going to be good, but I didn't expect it to be this good. And so I think I'm very impressed with this, and I'm going to give it a 4.5 as well.
I love it. Vera said she gets a lot of citrus, a bit of stone fruit, smells great, a bit more bitter than expected, but very well made. 4.25 from Vero as well, which is good stuff.
I mean, all of us, we usually are closer to 4 when we like a beer.
It depends on the day.
It's just like a phenomenal beer.
Right.
And this one is.
Unless it's got 55 calories or less.
That's water.
And also thanks to Vero for finding this for us that we could do all this. Because out of New York, she was able to find these. And we knew we wanted to do a gluten-free episode, so I'm happy we did it with a good one.
True story. We didn't just bring omission in. Great. Thank you.
I mean, I don't know. That was one of the first beers that I had that was gluten-free, and I bought it not knowing it was gluten-free. What
Joke's on you.
This? And this was probably 4 years ago, and I was like, hard pass. I'm good.
True story.
It was a good beer and a good cause. Yep. So I win-win completely all around for this beer.
Yeah, and in all honesty, if you guys can, if you're up in the Northeast, if you can get by Departed Souls, go check it out.
Free brewery tour.
Yeah. What? Well, apparently you have to get a tattoo though.
It's forced. It's
We've already changed their Wikipedia to say that you have to get a brewery tour tattoo just to come back in.
Well, I started thinking about that, and then I was like, "Oh, that's probably not a good."
Yeah, that's got a historical reference. I don't think you realized you made.
As soon as I said it, I was like, "Oh
no!" These laws though are crazy. Could you imagine going into a brewery and you're like, "Hey, I'll take a beer," and they're like, "First, you have to go on our tour," and you're just like,
"Wait, there's more."
Can I have a beer while the tour is happening? Yes. Nope. You have to just walk through it.
In Virginia, that's how it used to be before breweries really came around out here. There was one brewery in the area where we're at in Williamsburg, and they could do tours and package sales, but you could only sample beers while you were there on the tour.
Yeah,
you couldn't actually sit down and drink a beer at the fucking brewery, which is outlandish.
So this law makes sense because all of America's going backwards anyway, so we might as well just
we just get on the bus and keep going backwards, you idiots. Right.
God.
Speaking of which, time for our next segment.
Which is what?
That's your setup? I'm not pushing the button for that.
Yeah, what is this setup? Yeah, good lord.
No.
Man, there are so many things like going backwards
was beer.
that I wish was actually beer.
You guys are great. So for those,
this
of
is
you
only our 7th episode. Everyone, give us a break.
7-0.
So for those of you unfamiliar with the show, this is a portion of the show where we typically just take a second to reflect on something, either from the week, the month, the year, our entire lives, that we wish was beer instead of what it actually is. So, and I'm going to start with Andy. He said, I wish tonight's comments were beer because just like beer, they're delicious all over the damn place, and they'll probably kill us in the end.
Well, it killed Tiffany, apparently. She's gone.
Yeah, she said, I'm out.
I gotta get something.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm done. I'm done with this episode.
I'm back.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let you go first since you brought a prop.
I did. I brought a prop.
I realized that
All
was
right.
part of this game.
I forgot.
Oh, no.
This is my row hat. I am fucking tired of my uterus being part of anyone else's conversation. My tubes are tied, so I'm safe, but that shouldn't fucking matter. And we have 2 daughters, and I am freaking terrified for the future of women in this country. And not only that, but people's privacy in general. And I'm so sorry, this is a soapbox that I've probably beat over the head multiple times on this show, but I wish that the Supreme Court was beer because I hate 7 of them. And I like most beers.
Okay, all right, there we go. You brought it up.
Okay, we got there. I was like, I'm not going to call her out because she's saying a great thing.
No, I got it. I fucking memorized this shit. I practiced
You spun it. Well done. Well done.
Anyway.
I love the idea that Tiffany was working from home all day today, but sort of in the bathroom in the mirror with that hat on practicing.
Just talking to herself.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I got 5 minutes between a meeting. All right. And go.
I'm going to wear this hat.
I love it.
All right.
Well, Gabriel has chimed in, and I'm slightly confused, as normal, from Gabriel. I wish Tiffany's uterus was beer, so men would just leave it the F alone. Men typically
love
leave beer
well, okay,
alone.
I shouldn't generalize, but most people like beer.
Hold on.
I feel like that
think
would just get me more attention if it was beer. What is going on? I should never have put a hat on.
You know what the problem was is that Gabriel was really hitting it real hard all episode. He was like getting some real winners.
Yeah, he was on point all episode.
He went one comment too far, and
now I can't spell. I'm out. God damn it.
I'm on a high. I was getting so many good jokes in there. We've all been there, Gabriel. It's all right.
True story. What do you got, Phil?
So I wish that cheap motels were beer.
Okay.
And I'm going to say right away why, because cheap beers I'll still drink. I'm totally happy with a cheap beer. Cheap motels scare the hell out of me. And right now I am planning my drive up to Portland, Oregon, where I'll be for a few episodes. And so I'm trying to like figure out where I want to stop and like what places are like worth spending more money to stop in. So it's like, got to save the money where you can. So I'm like looking at cheap motels and I'm like, this one looks okay. Then I go to that review section.
Cool. Stay out of the reviews.
You can
But you don't want to stay out of the reviews, especially the recent ones.
No, you definitely want those.
And especially post-COVID, where all these motels are not doing well as well. They're just really cutting corners, and some of the comments are just nightmares.
My family, I will bribe them if you would like to stay at their house. I have multiples, just the Bay Area in general.
I could spend the night with Tiffany's mom. It sounds like a wonderful
she's not
night.
up north there. No, sir.
Nope.
And trust me, she may or may not agree with the current Supreme Court. So good luck out there.
Or vaccinations or a lot of things. So
all right. I think I'll take my chances at the cheap motel.
My brother is available and he is normal.
He's not available. He did a very lovely woman named Kelsey.
Yes.
Kelsey,
okay. Yeah, you got to clarify that.
I did text AJ earlier.
Or else I'm showing up in different outfits. I got to know what to wear. So
I love it.
Well,
all right, Daniel.
Hold on. Mark is still in the waiting room.
Oh, yeah.
We need to find out what his wish you were actually beer is.
Welcome back, Mark.
I'm still here. I won't go away.
You're an actor. You know to show up.
I've been telling that my mom for 37 years.
I'll stay here till it's off. I have two things to say. First of all, didn't know you were in Williamsburg. I went to William and Mary.
Oh, nice.
Hello.
Yeah.
Go Williamsburg. And one reason, I just want to say one reason of many that Departed Souls is a deeply cool brewery is they actually, it didn't come up tonight, they actually made a non-gluten-free version of Curtain Up first. And then they came back and made another version and completely reworked it as gluten-free.
Very cool.
They're the only brewery that did it twice with two different versions.
That's really cool.
Awesome.
That's really cool.
They're awesome. I'm now to play into the bit.
Yes.
I am sitting next to the Atlantic Ocean. So I'm going to say I wish the Atlantic Ocean were beer because I think everyone would be a little happier and a little more.
Right.
That's how I feel tonight. So I love all of the stuff you guys have said. You have an awesome show. Thank you so much for having me. We're going to be huge supporters of you going forward from now. You're all great. I've been sleuthing and finding you all online. Daniel, why don't you have Instagram?
You're welcome. I only have an OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Yeah. Someone's got to support this goddamn show.
I know. I just signed up. Anyway, thank you guys so much. You're awesome. We appreciate being here and your support for the project. And yeah, we're here for you if you ever need us. So
okay.
Mark, thanks, Mark.
So much,
Ditto.
Thanks for coming back in. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, Daniel, close out this show. Or not close it out, but give us your, let's go. Let's do this. What do you wish was beer?
Yeah, I wish your beer is easy for me. I wish vacation was beer so that I could have more than like one a year. We were on vacation last week, so that was nice.
It was.
You need a Bud 55 case of vacations.
I got a whole case of them in the fridge, but I still need a vacation, goddammit.
All right. Well, now, who wants to close out the show? I think Tiffany should. She should.
No, you guys always make fun of me when I close it out.
It's because it's always such a cluster. It's great every time, but still somewhat of a cluster.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right.
All right.
Practice this?
I did not practice this.
Shit.
She's got a hat, though.
Thank you to Departed Souls for joining us. Thanks. No, it just says row. Thank you to Mark from happyhourguys.com. You should go there and check them out. And thanks for watching our show. It was our first gluten-free episode. Was not a disappointment, mainly because of the jokes, but the beer was also great. For those of you who are not already subscribed and or following us, there are a litany of ways to do so. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have all of our untaps, and of course, we have our YouTube, which you should be subscribed to. And don't forget to like this episode. I'm Tiffany. This is Daniel. That's Phil. And we are the Wish You Were Beer Show. And we have a website you should also check out.
See, it's that last little bit.
It's
always
always
pause at the perfect point, and then you just screwed it up.